You're live.
Okay, we're live, so I think we can call the street committee meeting together. We're missing 2 members, but there is nothing on the agenda. So do we have any public comment regarding the street committee? Well, with none, I think we could adjourn the street committee at 4:02 and move to the FUPR committee.
You want to begin the FUPR committee meeting? Let me see. I'll get my. Did you bring agenda for everybody, Mr. Coon?
Oh,
No, sorry. This is kind of unusual for me to be doing my homework at the last minute.
especially you, a teacher.
I know that was kind of a self-criticism there,
Yeah,
but I
it sounds
couldn't
like
get
it.
this material till just today, so. All right, I'll figure that out just a little bit there. So,
I think she's getting you coffee.
you give him.
An agenda.
Okay, thanks, Darcy. Six, 8, 4, 9, 4. All right, thanks, Mayor. We'll go ahead and get rolling here. First item is a revolving fund budget amendment. And it looks like there's a resolution with that, with the budget amendment. So you probably want to talk about this one?
Sure, there's a little background information here that during our statement audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, the auditor identified several short-term interfund loans that were not settled properly. Following this recommendation, the city resolved to clear all balances by the end of the fiscal year on June 30th, 2024. One such loan involves $77,455 owed from the SID number 80 fund to the revolving fund. The settlement of this loan resulted in the revolving loan fund receiving cash exceeding the required budgeted amounts for the fiscal year 2025. Consequently, as part of the fiscal year 2025 budget process, the mayor and the council instructed staff to transfer the excess funds from the revolving fund to the general fund. Since this year-end transfer was not originally included in the revolving fund budget for fiscal year 2024, a budget amendment of $72,712.65 is required. So we have a resolution for that. So I'm just asking that we move that forward to the full council for consideration.
Okay. Mayor, what was that loan amount again?
It was the budget amendment is for $72,712.65.
Okay. And so we're going from the revolving fund to the general fund.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions or anybody got any comments, anything on that? Okay. All right. Next, let's go to, are you ready for number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have all the information in front of you? So
Yeah. Well, let me see before I start. I am. You ready, Mr. Coon, for this one?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So this is MDOT. It's transportation alternative TA grants and basically our sidewalks.
Sidewalk, yeah, from,
Right, right. And so there's 5 RFPs. Is that what we have here then? Okay. And go ahead, Frank, you want?
yeah. So, sort of tracking cost.
I have, yeah, and then once we choose a firm, then we negotiate with them on, yeah. And if they aren't with where we'd like to be and they're not, we could consider a different one and go down the list, I guess, as it were. Let me see. Since Mr. Kuhn and I are on the committee and there's 2 people missing, are we going ahead? How's that going to work? Or this goes to the council on Tuesday?
So, I did email everybody the information so they can review it, and if you guys go ahead and go in the process and go through that, we can take that information. Make sure that everybody's aware of it before the meeting, if they have any disagreements or questions or anything, we can get them handled, but I think you can still move forward with a recommendation. If you want to put it.
Yeah, well, even that, or, I mean, there's no reason why Kevin can't do an evaluation.
Yep, the sheets right here, please.
So you can do a score and it'd be 3.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Mr. Sassy, correct, Jason? He was going to be back Monday.
Yeah, I think he will be back
Yeah.
Monday. I'm not sure about Joanne, but
Yeah, I think really indefinite kind of looked at, but
And I can also consult with them. Sheet up. Talk to them next week and they can do the same thing and we can go from there. On everything, that we can pull back. It's ultimately the same.
was the idea coming in that the committee today would recommend a firm for the council meeting Tuesday? Or was the idea to count everything up and then come Tuesday with information?
I took Tuesday with
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Mr.
Well, and with that, with the requirements for selecting a proposal or an engineering firm, we pretty much have to go by the ranking system anyway, so if we ranked right now and then got their rankings later,
Yes,
then at Tuesday, you can say this is who won the ranking and that's who it's working, so.
absolutely. So if you guys want to just get back and consult with them, get their information and bring you a result in Tuesday.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the rest of the project at a different time in terms of
Yes, after this.
the total funding for it and such.
Yeah, so, I sent those numbers to Betsy, we're gonna email, I have an email.
Yeah, thank you. I did look at those numbers.
Okay.
I could pull it up right now, but
You
I'm
want, I
not,
can run it.
well, I mean, I'm not sure that we had some concerns about it. I don't know, you were gonna talk to our
Yeah.
finance
so-
people about it.
So our portion is budget set aside for this.
I got to figure my,
Next to me, I can rough give you the check. So there's 80,000. That is in the budget. We do have that. There's $44,680 and 8 cents left. That will have to be a decision if the council decides to move forward with or not. With the timing of the project and everything, I believe we can put that 44,680. So I think that'll work out with the timeline. Not 100% sure on that. But as we move forward, I can check with the state and we can go from there. But the commitment yet to be decided upon with the council would be the 44,600 and the change is on that. It's 6 something.
yeah, that's exactly what I remember from reading that. The since we're talking about this, or I guess I am, we go ahead and say we're going ahead and here's who we rank number 1. from Tuesday night,
Yes.
next Tuesday. And we have conversations and stuff, and these guys have submitted what the project and the timelines and stuff they think are. When would we commit ourselves to having money, though, for the engineering to go ahead? Well, let me just get the project is going to be started physically in terms of not the engineering, but actually doing things. Okay, okay.
That was.
Yeah, so we'd be able to go ahead then with the engineering and have to figure
Yeah,
out.
basically.
And their time schedule calls for it to begin physically summer? Oh,
So we'll have to meet on. That kind of stuff. And contractors. It's also.
Getting it done this next summer. A pretty tall ask.
I think it's pretty possible. Really not. It's concerned.
Well, but we haven't engineered it yet. Or I can't remember how long. they
MDOT's
said they
got,
were gonna-
we've set plans for it.
Okay, all right.
Well,
yeah, I was looking at the scope in the RFPs, they had scopes, and I think it did address 26, not necessarily that they're waiting till 26, I'm just saying, I remember, but
Yeah,
off
we'll
the top of my
have to make
head,
sure-
since I just looked at it, I'm not sure
we'll have to
exactly.
make sure we line up with all the requirements of MVP as well. That is. That would be changed to match. So,
Yeah, I can see that, now that, I can see where some of them probably were, yeah, I'll just leave that there. Okay, well, at the end of the meeting, then we'll have this, you can take our
okay,
scoring
yeah,
sheet.
And then I will just consult the other two on the committee and get information from them. Get that, and then I will have a result for you at Tuesday's meeting.
So I should add that the council will be basically selecting an engineering firm to complete
and
this
that-
project.
Checking this here too, so you've got a little more information. If accepting that, or even deciding upon from the RFP to move forward with, if that automatically commits us to that 44,000. And then change. And if it was a possibility to have that in next fiscal year's budget to help with the situation.
Here's a hard
And
question.
I can check that and send an email too.
Yeah,
Let you know.
okay, and this guy no longer works for the city, old KD, but yeah, he'd always get mad if I was gonna ask a question like this, and I guess I don't blame him, because it's a little bit of speculation on your part then, but without having the 44 in the current fiscal year, 44 and change, et cetera, would that be that's where you're gonna find out if that's a deal stopper for now.
Well, we need a timeline of when and what is due at what time.
Right,
You know,
right.
And in that email I sent, I also, want to be very upfront and have a conversation about what other costs we might run into. Because, that it's in all likelihood, you run into situations like that. And I think this is a surface project. There's a lot less of that here, a lot less unknowns. As you put more pipe in a sewer pipe, you run into stuff that, calls for change orders. I think in this situation, the chances of that are less, but they're never zero. So if that email I sent, I did bring that up as well. There's other costs that we have to, be mindful of getting involved in any kind of project, right? So
Yeah.
it will come to some own cost to the city. I don't think that'll be a huge amount. also has created a little bit of cross pollutions on the snow removal one, but I think what's costing us and the benefits of it are really the cost of this project. So
Yeah, it appeared to be that in the information that you provided us in reading that unexpected, the grant amount is the grant amount.
that's fair.
It won't necessarily, or maybe at all, change due to unforeseen circumstances, and therefore
Yeah, I
the
don't-
city
I
would
don't-
be
yeah, absolutely.
responsible
I don't
for-
think the grant amount is going to change. We're responsible for 13.
Yeah. Okay, well then, you'll have more information on what we possibly
Yeah, if
would
anybody
be
has
able to
questions, don't hesitate to call me here. I'll give you this information.
Okay, all right, well, thanks, Frank. Okay, well,
One little
yeah,
comment.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say that this is a good example of why the council, even though we were, but still, why the council needs to be informed if people are gonna go out for grants, because if there's a match required, like now, when we are in a budget crisis, that's what makes it difficult. So that's, we're not being micromanagers, but that's why we've always asked to be informed if people want to go out for grants.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. The next item, number 3, is about submitting a grant for engineering study of Penninger Park.
Yes, I had help from Frank and from Chris Smith with Headwater, so I did get it submitted this afternoon. It does not have a match. It is through the Region 8 Thriving Communities Grant Program. So we're asking them to do an engineering study of Penninger Park and also the graveyard coulee, which runs next to the high school and seems to be damaging the parking lot there. So we should know in about 2 weeks where our application is, and we'll get an update on the status. So I did speak to Chris this afternoon to tell her I submitted it, and we're both very hopeful, but we also know that they're getting some more money. So if we do get rejected from this, we can submit it again and try a second time. So that's where we are, and we won't really know anything for about 2 weeks. So it doesn't really require any action or anything because there's no match with it.
Certainly, those are 2 items, the school parking lot, the graveyard coulee, right? And Penninger that have been on the people's minds for quite a while, to say the least. The next item, thanks, Mayor. So that's an FYI. The next item is fire manager is retiring on January 2nd. And of course, with all these, we have to look at our budget to see what our opportunity, what our ability to fill those positions. So I can read what the request is to keep it open until, looks like fiscal year 2026 it would be, right?
Yeah, well,
25, 26.
we have 4 full-time.
Or is it January one?
He's going to be done, in just a few weeks.
Right.
So I have met with all 4 of the full-time firefighters, and it does seem like they're willing to pick up the reporting and the maintenance and the scheduling and things like that. Not forever, but for now. So I do appreciate their willingness to do that and help us out, because like Rhett said, we are still in a budget crisis. It may take longer than I had hoped to get out of this. I don't know that we're going to get out of it in 1 year. But at the end of this month, I think we'll have a better idea of where we're at because we'll have made it through half the year. But things can come up. So I feel like we need to do the best we can to cut costs in any way, because we never know when we're going to have a big expensive thing happen in the city, and we're not budgeted for any disasters. I don't have a disaster budget, but I'd recommend that we start thinking about one. So anyway, I don't know that that's going to really require council action, but I did want people to be aware of it, that I have met with them, and they've all been very cooperative and given me some good information for how we can get through the next 6 months. So
Anything you want to say on that? I just a little bit. But.
No, I agree. I think, just what the mayor said, and especially Todd on his way out, he's just done a lot of heavy lifting for that job position, so we should be able to.
he really has. He showed me the file drawer where everything is. He has everything organized. So, and he gave me lots of time. So I really do appreciate that.
And he always said too, he goes, I'm not moving, so. if you
Yes,
have a question,
yeah.
I can call and stuff. So I think we can survive the next 6 months without.
Doing anything right away.
Great. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm certainly not throwing a wrench in that. If something happens between now and then, we can reevaluate that. Like you said, there's no action to be taken at this point.
Yeah.
So, but I do appreciate, Mayor, you bringing that forward and us
Okay.
being informed about it. So people know where we're headed, I guess. Now the next one, I was writing up my own little meeting thing. First time I ever did that before the report tomorrow, and I put down, something about interacting with the legislature without traveling, of course, because that's the big concern. The costs of traveling and such for staff, the mayor, even council or whomever, anybody on behalf of the city. So it looks like, Mayor, you were asking for some ideas here.
Well, I got an email the other day that they are having an executive forum in Helena, which is only for mayors, city managers, chief executives, and it is to directly meet with the legislators, to have some planning workshops and practical tools. So there's 2 opportunities to meet with the lawmakers, a breakfast and a social hour. Anyway, there's no cost to attend this except for, the travel costs and the cost of the room. So I might consider doing this and paying just taking my own car, because I really think that it's important that we do have a connection with our legislators, and that we let them know that we have needs out here too, because I think Eastern Montana does get forgotten during the legislative session. And in the past, we've all, I think Jerry would go, and I know that Kevin would stay on top of it. I think we do have a legislative envoy or something that we pay a little bit of money for them. I think it's somebody out of Sydney. But sometimes it just doesn't hurt if you have some ideas and you know who to contact. So I'm not saying I'll go because it's at the end of February and I don't know what it'll be like, but I'm saying I might be willing to do that and try to reach out through email and phone calls with some of them, just so they're aware that, we're still struggling over here. And we're not the only community in eastern Montana that's going through these problems. I think, as everyone's aware, Miles City and other little communities are having a hard time too. So
Yeah.
anyway, that was just my only suggestion, was since it was free and I can take my car and that doesn't cost very much because it's a hybrid. So I'm willing to do that on my own dime, because I think it's important to do it for the city. But if by the time that comes up that I feel like I've made enough connections or whatever, then, and the weather's bad, I don't want to go. But and if you have other suggestions for ways for us to reach out, I know that sometimes they come home and, we can talk to them then, or if anybody has a connection there with anybody that's in the legislature.
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, in the past, we contracted with, Bob. It wasn't his name, Bob. I know my mind's blank right now, but, and he was a lobbyist. And I think
Yeah.
it's been
Bob Gilbert.
Bob Gilbert.
Yeah, I wonder if we cut that though. I will have to look
Well,
at
and
the
that's what I'm
budget.
wondering too.
Yeah.
And I think it was only like $3,000 each time.
Mm.
But I know all the past legislative sessions, at least in the last 20 years. But I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't, but I'm saying that's what we used to do in the past, and I don't think we have contracted with them because that came through council.
Right.
So we obviously haven't done it this session. I don't know if that's necessary or not, or
Yeah, it would be,
I just don't know where the
it would
money
be
would be.
difficult if we wanted to, just because of the timing right now. I mean, not, the money obviously is a huge issue, yeah. But even if we did say, oh, well, we can get the money from here for that, or, I think we did cut it too,
yeah.
what I remember in the budget
I think so,
process.
yeah.
But, it always seems easier when it's summer versus legislative time, because Mary made a lot of good points about why, and we do need to stay in touch with them, the legislature, and what interaction and what ideas and plans they have for the cities or don't have, or it's pretty critical that they are aware of the
Well,
situations.
Right. It's always
And sometimes the
frustrating.
squeaky wheel gets greased and the
Mhm.
wheel that's not squeaking gets left, but it would be difficult because we didn't plan on spending the money. Secondly, we have the one meeting and then it's their meeting.
Mhm.
So I don't even know how we would do the logistics although, I'm sure if Mr. Gilbert's doing it again, he'd probably rather have one more city than not. Because he's still going to be up there and all that. No, I would endorse what you talked about, and maybe we can help you out on that as far as that goes. Yeah, so that's not till the end of February when that meeting is.
Right,
And so there'll
right.
be a lot. That's probably after already the
I was gonna say,
transmittal or
yeah,
whatever. It's
that-
got to be
I've
close.
got to
yet.
look at the dates for
Yeah.
that, because that
Would
does
be-
seem a little late. But it
Yeah.
is frustrating that the legislature, legislates things that the cities have to do, but they don't provide money for it. Like recording the meetings is required, but they did not provide us with any money for cameras or microphones or any city, so that is probably my biggest gripe, is if they're gonna make us do stuff, they have to provide funding. I think everybody's in this same boat right now, all the small cities anyway.
Well, and there was a pretty big implication that local governments can figure out their finances, and therefore people's property taxes would not even go up like they did, because local governments, I thought it was pretty unreasonable and not very well thought out on that comment there. But so I think it's kind of becomes upon the local government then
Mhm.
to let the state know,
It does.
here's what the situation is, here's what we're facing. Because you really don't know these things until the people at the ground level
Mhm,
bring that to you.
right,
Just same with us sitting in these chairs, they're in
Mhm.
different chairs with certainly a lot more responsibility in some ways and such, but anyway. Yeah, I don't know, that's an unfortunate thing about because he was our contact now. The League of Towns and Cities, they must provide us some,
that's
we're
what
a
this,
member, right?
you're right, and that's what this, that's what this is,
Yeah,
yeah, through them.
Yeah, I mean, and our whole system is different. 'Cause like I said, Kevin pretty much kept his thumb on the pulse and knew what items to fight and not fight, and then he would contact Bob, and then Bob would show up at those
Right,
committee hearings or whatever and make an argument. So I don't know if it's even worth, using the lobbyists this time if we don't have a game plan of what we wanna.
right, I'm not even sure what
Yeah.
they're gonna be looking at, and so. But I do think that I need to reach out earlier and let them know that,
yeah, well, you have good experience there, Mayor, having from your previous occupation. We'll go back to what Rhett said, just adding on, there's at least one law, the burned out buildings law. It was Glendive and Butte and maybe somebody else. Could have been Miles City too. But our city played a pretty prominent role in
Yes, they
getting
did.
that legislation passed. And there were other things that, like Rhett and Schoon's talking about, that they'd kind of they would be in the pipeline already. So
yeah,
I guess we'll go ahead, not that we have a choice, without, we'll see how it works out.
okay,
Kind
sounds
of
good. If
learn from
not
there, and
any-
then we'll call you up in 2 years, Mayor, and see if
Yeah.
we'll pay for your trip in 2 years from now. No, I'm just sorry.
We'll see about that.
Yes.
Yeah, Frank probably has some issues, public works things, floodplain.
There's some concerns.
Yeah, it's pretty important that you are involved at the right time, which I would say rather early than late, because late might be too late.
So small city for it. It's important. It really is, because like those in Missoula do not have the same problems that we have. It's just, it's the way it is, right? It's the reality. And we're forced to deal with a lot of the laws and regulations that are in place because of towns like Bozeman, Missoula, and Great Falls. And the cost association remains, so how do you've got 5,000 people versus 50,000, it's a different tax base. You've got enough to upgrade your plant. You need certain removal requirements and stuff, and there's a lot of that coming up, and we're fighting it. I've signed up to get on board and fight some of this too, so hopefully we can.
Even with zoning
With some-
requirements, because I'm sure one of the big issues will be housing in Montana and the places you mentioned. Very
Yeah.
critical, but if we get drug in one way or another on something that's not to
Well,
our
we
benefit,
already see the zoning,
yeah,
what's allowed and what's not allowed, something that we never want to deal with here. We're forced to deal with because the low income housing problems that they have. I mean, look at those and all the campers they have parked out in the street, right? So they're trying to legislate or forcing stuff on small municipalities and small cities that 95% of us do not agree with, probably 99% of us do not agree with.
and they want the state behind them to bring the big hammer.
Well, we need large numbers of people, participation, small communities.
Yeah.
You get left out, so, it's fine to sit here and think, well, we can't afford to do it. In some instances, you can't afford not to. That's the kind of stuff you ignore. It's gonna cost you a lot more in the long run.
Well, that's certainly why we took that preventative action, if that's what the proper term is in the past, but at this point, I think
Training is- it's important.
connections, networking.
They've done what they do. Is very, very useful knowledge.
Well, I guess we'll find out if you are able to go. It's kind of like late in that's got to be past halftime there, so.
Oh, definitely, but, I just got the thing, so I
Right,
thought
right,
I'd bring
right,
it forward, but it may not happen at all. We might just have to have a Zoom meeting or something.
Right, right. Okay, Mayor, thank you. That's, yeah, if there's anything locally, like when the guys come home and one of the representatives here is from Savage and of course Bob Phelan, so is the representative Phelan is he
Senator,
he's the senator now.
I believe so.
Yeah. So he would have a bigger district, yeah. But well, if you come with other things, Mayor, we'll certainly be right there with you on it.
Alrighty.
This next one's kind of got me. I'm not sure what this one is. Glendive Investments Lot Adjustment. Is it a lot adjustment? Is that what
Yep,
it is?
basically that's all it is. There's a map right there where it's at. Basically it's over by the North and Ford. There's the boundary line is just getting jogged around a little bit. There's really basically standard. They're just moving all that line around. But this is where it was. We're just moving it this to incorporate some more parking and some different areas in there. So. pretty
Is it
straightforward.
change? It's not changing any ownership.
Nope. Nope, not
Okay.
changing any ownership and everything, just changing the aspect.
Does this even go to the
Yes, it has to.
planning board?
No, that does not go. to the
Yeah,
planning board.
yeah. Because it's just a
Yeah, it's just a boundary rules.
certificate of survey, yeah.
At first, I
Okay.
thought we had investments that we were trying to figure out.
No, it's just that's the name of the traffic ambulance.
Oh, okay.
It's a flex, so,
Not investments?
yeah. So you guys should have those copies that explain the situation. I can include that in council packet.
Did you get one of these now?
Yeah, I got this part of it, yeah. Okay, so we'll take that to the council for their approval. What do they call that? A COS, right? Okay, then next item is with the police department. So the idea was to do the promotions next month in January for the senior patrol officers.
Well, they've been eligible since, I think the end of August. Maybe even before that. But that's when Katie notified me, and so I just told her we were gonna try to put it off until January. It's not a huge expense, but of course it's an expense that isn't in the budget. But I kind of feel like when someone has completed what they need to do and to move up to a senior patrol, I would like to be able to move them up because, they've earned that, they've worked for it, they've completed things that they need to do. And so that was why I was bringing it forward to FUPR, because it is a cost, and then for it to go to the council. I think we can manage it, but again, it's your vote. So,
Yeah, so this needs council action? I mean, I know you're
Well-
informing us of it, but, we
seems
need to
like
take-
every time we spend money, I have to take it to the council if it's something that's not in the budget. So, I think we can find it in the police budget, so maybe because then we wouldn't need to do a budget transfer, maybe it doesn't need to go to the council.
yeah.
But,
Katie, go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Currently and in the past, we just haven't had a need for it until when I reached out to the mayor. I have an advisory committee, they've had to do a letter of interest, they had to go through an interview process and do a test, and the interview's gonna be next week, through an advisory committee with one of the police commission on there. And then they're gonna come back and recommend 1, 2, or none. And then that's the process.
When we budget, and this would be the personnel costs of different departments, in this case, the police department. Do we then, when we, in the budget, do we look at? Normally, I shouldn't say normally, that's not necessarily true. Many times people, if they're to get a increase or an increment, it all comes at the start of that fiscal year to where it's part of that. The new budget's already programmed in because, well, we got these people that are gonna move up and stuff like that. And I'm not criticizing or saying anything's wrong here. But when we did figure out the budget, which would be with the help of Ide Bailey and such, then no money is part of the personnel budget for the Glendive Police Department that would foresee increases due to advancement by the staffs. That actually was a question. I don't know. I didn't mean it to be rhetorical. So, yeah. So
it is,
so
we do budget it for, when someone's, anniversary date comes up or whatever, when they are eligible for an increase, that is in the budget for, public works or whatever those guys are, but, we didn't budget this, the senior patrol position.
Okay.
And maybe, this year I'll be more cognizant of that, someone could move up to a captain or another, position and just have a little bit of buffer money. But as you guys are aware, we don't have any secret funds or a treasure chest anywhere. But I think the amount, if this goes through and they're done, and they're both recommended, it looks like it's going to cost about $137 a month for each person to move from patrol to senior patrol. So, I roughly guessed it'd be like for the rest till the next fiscal year, something like $1,800. Which I think because of cost savings, that we might be able to find the money. So I'm not that worried about it, but like Katie said, they've had to fill out some forms and they still have some stuff to do before they are chosen for this.
So, Katie, just to follow up on one thing. So in the matrix of the Glendive Police Department, is there just position for 2? Because you said that 3 were eligible.
Mhm.
Set aside to promote 3 people to a max of 3 senior.
Am I correct though in was making an assumption here that it was your decision that we were going ahead with 2, or is that? Okay. Okay. Well, that's clear. Okay, okay. All right. I thought maybe 3 were qualified, and so
No,
I was
it
like,
just-
I see, okay. So then, we'll see if you want the council to go ahead and, approve that, take this as an action item then.
Yes, I do. I mean, actually, I think, the mayor can approve these things, but with the way the budget is, I don't feel comfortable, spending money without making the council aware of it.
Well, that's good. I think some of us brought that up in the past, but I don't know if you were here then, Mayor, so.
I don't think
Because
so.
see, when you hear about vacancies, then that's how it all works. That's how we get informed. Otherwise, we don't know until, hey, how you doing there? And there's a new guy sitting there that's working for the city. But kind of helps the whole budget process. 'Cause
Right.
sometimes, just like with some of these positions, you do hold back for a little while just for financial benefit.
Right.
Almost brought up something personal there about sometimes you don't buy this month, you wait till next month, but
Right.
not everybody in the family is always on the same page, but we'll just go ahead.
Talk about deodorant.
Oh, boy, they'll burn this tape, hopefully. Okay, Mayor, so I don't have other items on the agenda here, but if there are other items, this would be, yeah, Mr. Coon.
One question, which I think maybe 1 month from now, we could look at a snapshot, since it'll be halfway through the fiscal year, and see how different line items are doing.
Yes. Maybe we can meet again as the, budget committee. Call a budget committee meeting for next month and look at where we are and where we're going. Because, I mean, we've been pretty lucky. This was our first snow because, we cut the sand budget, we cut every budget that, and so, I mean, I'm just hopeful that we can get through it with what we have.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, because maybe we can be more emphatic in certain areas where things are overflowing and we feel like there's some control to try to keep that budget from getting more out of control. And
Well, we need to have same pools.
Well, very funny. But the pool, I next month I do want to start, I am gonna send out some cards to all the kids who worked at the pool this year and see who's might be interested in coming back next year and who might be able to complete the training to train the lifeguards. And I know it might sound too early, but I want to make sure that when it's time to open the pool, that we have the staff for it, that we're ready for it, that the pool is open longer hours, that we don't have random closures that make the community really angry, especially when they buy a pool pass. So I think rather than later, I'm going to start on it earlier.
And to tie in with that, obviously, to get the pricing of everything
We do.
and then get that notice out for people too, so that
Increases for swimming lessons and things like that. But I think with all the money we spend on the chemical and that we should try to have the pool open as much as we can and try to get, a full season out of it. So. anyway.
yes, that would be good. That would be good. There's some variable costs for sure, but it's kind of a big fixed cost. And if you're only open for a month,
Yeah.
or
Few days
it
a
doesn't,
week.
I'm not trying to say that's what it was, but
Yeah.
it just, the more the service can be provided to the community, because it does come
At a price.
at a price, yeah. So, yeah, that would be much appreciated, Mayor, to see how far you can get on that. I'm sure this committee would be willing to help out wherever we can in terms of plans and stuff. Plans are always better with more money. There's no promise there, but any public comment on the FUPR? Anybody have anything? Kevin, you certainly can jump in if you got anything you wanted to bring up, or anybody else. So you think we're okay then till we'll get her done till next Tuesday anyway? Okay.
We'll have another meeting on Tuesday, so.
Well, let's see, what that thing say, 4:52. We'll go with that as the official time. And Mayor, we're gonna go 4:05 on the start time.
Yeah.
So we kind of wait for that to get done.
Oh, yeah, sure. Are you done with yours?
Yeah, we're adjourned.
He always knows that's a good call.